Burkina Faso is building a new city and doing things that no one thought were feasible. You'll be surprised by the facts. But are they doing well without Western assistance? Let's look into it. Under the resolute leadership of President Ibrahim Traore, Burkina Faso is doing more than merely planning a metropolis. It symbolizes the end of Western dominance and the rise of African sovereignty. The Renaissance city is more than just its outward appearance. It is a revolution, a huge middle finger to the West, and a declaration that Africa is self-sufficient without foreign assistance, support, or influence. Africa cannot be prevented from creating its own future by the West. With the probable exception of buying weapons, fighting terrorism, and extracting natural resources like gold and oil, no one can blame Africans for thinking that the outside world is not particularly interested in their continent. Former U.S. President George W. Bush famously referred to it as a nation rather than a continent, with 54 wildly disparate countries, each with unique historical interests. The things that President Trump said about Africa were awful. For far too long, the West has promoted falsehoods about how to help Africa while taking advantage of its resources, labor, and creativity. However, those times are ending. As it progresses in Burkina Faso, the Renaissance City project represents African ambition and rebellion. The message is clear. Africa will no longer be bound by neocolonialism. While the West is struggling due to its greed and hypocrisy, Africa is prepared to take its rightful place at the forefront of global leadership. But before you can understand the importance of this city, you must understand how tough it was to topple Western rule in Africa. For thousands of years, the riches of Africa has been used to fund the West. They have used colonialism and then neocolonialism as a means of maintaining control over the global South, particularly Africa. But as the world shifts, the Western Empire is collapsing from within. Extreme political instability is affecting both Europe and the U.S., as polarized politics, economic problems, and dishonest politicians are becoming commonplace. Societies that once saw themselves as the pinnacle of civilization are seeing real-time social breakdown. For example, the U.S. political circus has exposed long-standing structural problems, while Brexit has made the U.K. weaker than before. In contrast, Africa is breaking free from the shackles of colonialism. At the forefront of this awakening are leaders who are guiding their nations toward complete independence, like Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso. The Renaissance City project is more than just a massive housing project. It is a proclamation that the waning Western powers will not hold back Africa. The UK is now weaker than it was before Brexit, for example, and the US political circus has exposed long-standing structural problems. Conversely, Africa is breaking free from colonialism's bonds. Burkina Faso's Ibrahim Traore and other leaders who are guiding their nations toward complete independence are at the forefront of this awakening. Large-scale home building is only one aspect of the Renaissance City project. It's a statement that the waning Western powers will not drag Africa along. While the West's house of cards is collapsing, Burkina Faso keeps building the foundation for Africa's future. A future free from Western exploitation. The truth is clear. The Western world can no longer rely on centuries-old models of exploitation. It is no longer possible to steal from Africa and get away with it. The collapse of political systems, a faltering economy, and pervasive social inequality are some of the issues facing the West today. In an attempt to maintain control, Western countries want to destabilize developing African nations through economic manipulation.